House of Ashes is the third installment in the Dark Pictures anthology. Being the most recent game of the series and the first of the anthology being on newer consoles, I was excited to get into this one. Besides the distinctive up-to-date quality the newer console provides, such as better frames per second and everything in general looking better graphically, I wondered if the game would actually provide me with what I desired after coming straight off of Little Hope, which I wasn't particularly fond of.
Sumerian, maybe? What is this place?
The story takes place during the Iraq War, and a group of soldiers that come from different parts of life are now gathered together in the hopes to find some hidden chemical weapons that they think are stored on a small plot of land. The characters end up getting ambushed and get trapped underground after an earthquake causes them to fall into sinkholes that quickly open up underneath their feet. Their journey back up to the surface leads them to uncover an ancient secret.
Can you make anything out?
Eric and his estranged wife Rachel are in charge. Nick is the guy that Rachel has been with in Eric's absence. Merwin is the annoying one. Clarice is the chill, cool one that gets stuff done. Joey has the smarts, and Jason is the go-getter. There's also a nice change of pace with the character of Salim, who is on the opposite side of the war. And yes, the curator is back and he looks a lot better. It's also nice watching his intro without any noticeable slowdown. While the character models look better, there is still something off like in the past games, especially when characters are physically interacting with each other. There is nothing that feels flexible or tangible. Characters don't feel like they are touching, which makes everything floaty. It may not be as bad in past games, but it's probably more noticeable with how palpable everything needs to be here. Within an hour in the game, Rachel and Nick are seen caressing, and it looks so embarrassingly silly. They look like two puppets trying to fondle each other. So again, in games like this where you need to be fully engrossed to fully command your characters and their choices to escape their ever-impending doom, if it doesn't look right, you lose all sense of being engaged. I encountered more of the same problems that I did in past games. Much like John from Little Hope, Ashley Tisdale's character Rachel has such a deadpan expression and performance a lot of the time. Her eyes and face just give off this bored, uninteresting look. The talking and animation still doesn't line up correctly at points, and awkward situations like characters talking over each other or long pauses still take place. Most of the acting performances were stale and undesirable. Pointedly Eric. His performance sounds like Jerry Seinfeld doing a funny voice. It's so restrained and lifeless. Jason is the clear star of the game here. His demeanor and nuanced performance goes along with the character so well as his character arc being the only one that's interesting and lasts throughout the game.
It's tribal territory out there, Colonel. Make no mistake, those people are feral. I take it we're getting their support?
The game looks leaps better than the previous titles. Environments have more details, whether it's cracks in a brick wall or dirt and sand at your character's feet. While the first game had a lot of blues and greens by being set on a ghost ship in the middle of the ocean, and the second game, well, not really having any set pattern of colors at all with the fog being everywhere and so dense, the color palette in House of Ashes is refreshing. The lighting and textures mixed with a variety of colors really sets the tone. That was one thing I was really impressed with. The lighting in particular in areas seems to be very purposefully and artfully placed, highlighting details in the environment or refashioning emotions on a character's face. The environment is a lot more fun to be in and interact with. It feels pretty small at first but opens up later on. Being able to control the camera seems like it would work great for these areas, but it is quite the opposite. A lot of the time you are going to be searching tight corridors and around beams and columns that the camera is more cut out to be your enemy than your friend. Small environments with a 3D camera makes movement super awkward. The camera is just too close. While traversing deeper underground, you will find clues that uncover the story. One collectible in particular is incredibly unpleasant. There are these journals that, when picked up, start playing a mini-movie about what happened along with a voiceover work of the character who wrote them. It is the most jarring thing I've ever seen in a game like this. It ruins all, if any, kind of immersion. It simply just doesn't make any sense and is only there so the player doesn't have to read anything. The information given from the voice is always more than what is presented in the text of the item as well, so it's even more obscene to over-explain or analyze something that the player is fully capable of doing. In fact, none of the collectibles that you find are interesting or hold any merit. It's just a bunch of text. There's nothing actually interesting to look at. There were probably 5 to 6 times that I took a cup off of a piece of paper the exact same way to collect that piece of paper. Something I like from Man of Medan is that there are a lot of secrets that can be missed by choosing different paths with different characters, so replaying the game and playing in a different manner gives you as the player insight of what is actually happening. It feels like you're uncovering the secret of the horror story. In House of Ashes, most of the secrets are just strung along the main path. The secrets are redundant, and a lot of the time, multiple secrets highlight the same things lore-wise.
Up to you.
And I'll leave the heavy lifting to you.
We got a deal, lady.
It's ready.
The game overall has some serious pacing issues. The cutscenes are way too long. The briefing scenes at the beginning of the game over-explains and overcomplicates things to try to get your emotions riled up within the characters' conundrums. When going up and down stairs, the characters walk at a turtle's pace to make sure the animation hits every step realistically, but it makes exploring as well as just playing the game a slog. These issues, along with the large open environments and the crazy journals, create a never-ending dreadful gameplay loop, where you are only satisfied by the interactions of the characters or story revelations. Actually getting through the environments and exploring is not fun.
Hey, be careful with that.
Oh shit, sorry.
Little Hope added some interesting things to spruce up your playing experience, making the gameplay smoother and fortuitously easier. Now, when a new story is selected, you are given 3 different difficulty options: forgiving, challenging, and lethal. So I guess I can't really complain if the game isn't as hard as I think it should be when I'm given choices to make it as hard as I want. There is a different reticle for QuickTime events, which is something. Whenever an important decision is made by the player, a murder of crows fly across the screen to depict the importance of the decision. It's incredibly distracting and unneeded. It is a weird decision since the other games handle these fine unless they are going to make the curator out to be a god of some sort who watches what happens through the crows. The soundtrack is a lot better here and is worth noting to pay attention to. The music swells when it needs to at certain spots and stresses soft ambient scary moments. Regrettably, the music often gets cut short between scenes. Characters will be talking and having a really heartfelt moment and the music just stops. I figured it to be a weird fluke at first. It's almost like a record scratch moment because it just stops. But it happened a few times throughout my playthrough. My time with the game wasn't really a pleasant one. This modern take on horror is more off track than the other 2 games, which automatically makes it seem more interesting to me. But because I don't care about military stuff already, it kind of fell flat overall. The twist this game has was far more out there than the other games, which makes a twist a great twist. But I don't think it was as warranted or amounted to anything significant. While I like this game like I do the other games, I can't ignore how problematic the games keep getting. Some aspects get better and then others get worse. While the music and lighting as well as graphical prowess is a step up, multiple avenues of actually playing the game like collecting the secrets, bad pacing, and awful acting are simply not good and underwhelming. I give House of Ashes a 3 out of 10.
Unbelievable.